9 players on their way to the Texans following this past week's NFL draft. Here they are, led by Kamari Lassiter, the corner from Georgia. And now, to talk about everything which happened last week, Zack Tawatari is here, along with Kim Davis from Chalk Talk and Cody Stoots of Houston Football, HOUfootball.com. Good to have everyone here. Have we all survived?
It's all, long weekend, but it's always good to be here.
Absolutely.
No doubt. Let's start with this. I'm going to head to the big board. We've got 9 players, so give me one word to describe this class. Kim?
I'm going to say productive.
Productive, all
right.
right.
I thought it was productive. I thought they addressed a lot of areas. I could go on, but that's the one word, that's what I would use, which is a good thing. It's a positive feeling word for me, right? And it was productive, and they needed that. They didn't have it. There was no desperation. They didn't have to do anything spectacular because of what they've been building. So they were very productive.
Cody?
I like that. I'm going to go with depth. And depth's not a bad thing. It's not as exciting of a word as I could have said here. But depth is what I'm going with. And I keep thinking about DeMeco Ryans, talking about that Baltimore Ravens playoff game and how many backup players they played in that game. And because they played so many backups, if your backups are better a year later, maybe that game changes. So depth is what I'm going with to describe this draft class.
Hey, and also kudos to Cody, because last week you said Darius Robinson would be the guy that you wanted the Texans to draft. And sure enough, the Cardinals take him with the pick they got from the Texans.
Yep, no slippage there, unfortunately. But they ended up with some nice depth players, you know.
All right. I'm going to say, and this is probably a bit of an easy way out, I'm going to say promising. I don't think that the Texans, I don't think they got any like game changers or franchise-turning players, and that's certainly because of where they drafted, but I think there's enough there that it would be promising. So now, Zack, what's your word?
It's versatile for me, and I think that's because, especially with those round two picks, I think with Lassiter and Fisher, you've 2 guys who could fit into different areas of whether it's the line or the secondary. And I think that the Texans need that. They need that added depth. And what does Nick Caserio say all the time? Competition, competition, competition.
All right, competition, competition, competition. So when we talk about competition, is there an area do you think the Texans should have better addressed?
Well, kind of would have liked a little bit more focus on running back. Now, don't get me wrong. Jordan, the kid from Louisville that they drafted, a little disrespected in the draft process. He was the starter at Louisville. The backup went a few rounds before him. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. He's perfect for the zone scheme, but there were a bunch of fun running backs on the board a couple of different times. I might have liked a little bit more running back investment from the Texans.
I'm going to go with him, running back. I mean, I went into it thinking I really hope they address the secondary. And they did. I think they still need to do more there. But in terms of the draft, I really thought running back was a place that I thought they may do more. I was hoping that on draft day, I'd see something different.
You think about a team like Miami, they got all these running backs, and they still drafted another running back. And it's like, well, why can't the Texans do the same thing?
Yeah, it's great minds think alike. I mean, it's also running back for me. When you think about last season, their biggest struggle on offense really was running the ball consistently, and it's going to put a lot more pressure on CJ, as it did a number of times last year, to not have that depth in the running game. I don't know what we're going to get out of Joe Mixon. We'll have to see, but I still think they could have gone for more depth at running back.
Well, the Texans hope they get a lot out of Joe Mixon, given what they're going to be paying him.
Right.
What about linebacker? Is that a place that you thought maybe the Texans might want to do a little bit more drafting?
I did. I kind of thought they had a shot, the kid from Cooper from A&M. I thought he may have been a pretty good fit for them, and he was available. So, yeah, I thought linebacker might be a place that they would address, but, you know, I'm okay with it, I guess, that they didn't. But I did think linebacker might be a spot that they would go after.
Maybe a little bit higher on the draft board. They end up with Hill, who's got a discernible skill, former safety that plays linebacker. So there's your cover guy. Go out there, stay with the tight ends, stay with the running backs out of the backfield.
He's a little small.
Yeah, the tackling might be a little bit of an issue.
A little small,
but yeah, that's something to pay attention to. A few more veterans out there that you could backfill at linebacker than some of these other spots, but maybe a little bit more focus on the linebacker would have been interesting.
I imagine given this roster now, it will be very hard, I would think, for, say, an undrafted free agent to come in here and make this roster. You look at the Astros. Dusty Baker used to always say, well, there's always someone who's going to come in during spring training and make a splash and be a surprise. But I'm guessing, given what the roster is like now for the Texans and then bringing in 9 more guys, it's going to be really hard for a guy who wasn't drafted to come here as an undrafted free agent and make the team. Am I wrong?
I think you're spot on here. It's going to be hard for some of these guys that got drafted to make the team. I mean, you're a 6th-round pick, you're a 7th-round pick. There's not a tremendous amount of investment in you. I do like the twins that they signed in undrafted free agency. Not just bringing in one of them, bringing in both of them. That's a fun story. Hey, give them some experience. You never know. Sometimes you have a guy in that's an undrafted free agent 3-4 years down the road. He's available. You're putting him on the practice squad or the back end of the roster. It's all just about information gathering.
It is information gathering, and I'm always open to see who might do something and surprise you. When we've seen those guys throughout the years covering the Texans that have stepped up, and you're like, oh, where'd this guy come from? So it's hard, especially because look, Nick likes those Power 5 guys. Tank was the only one that was not a Power 5. Of course, now that school is a Power 5, but he typically, so those things mean something to him. But if they can do something to impress D'Amico, they got a shot. Yeah.
Other teams in the AFC South, which of those draft classes should the Texans be most wary of? Do you want to start on this one?
Sure. I mean, it's got to be the Indianapolis Colts. The fact that they got Latu, and then they also got Adonai Mitchell from Texas. I mean, those are 2 positions where you have playmakers right away in there. Already a good team. We saw them play the Texans last year, really tough. Obviously, they lost Richardson early in the year, but now with those 2 guys, you have to think big-time difference makers.
Well, Latu, the Colts believe he is the best defensive player in the draft. Yeah. Certainly he has those injury concerns, but I'm a big Chris Ballard guy. I think he does a really good job. So, I'm down with the Colts as well. I think that's a draft class. Also, when you consider the talent they have, potential at quarterback, I think that's a draft class you also have to be wary of if you're a Texans fan.
I'm going to go Colts. Once again, the Colts is a nemesis, right, for the Houston Texans. They really improved their roster, and, the AFC South got a lot better. It got better, and it's no longer the laughingstock of the league. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
In my Nick Caserio, I'm channeling him now. None of this means anything until you get to training camp, right? But from what it kind of seems early, they did a really good job.
It's the Colts. I like Brian Thomas Jr., the guy that the Jaguars ended up with, but it's the Colts. Latu's really good. Yeah. And then Mo City Mitch gets to come back to the hometown once a year. He's going to show up and show out in Houston. We might have a T.Y. Hilton situation.
Oh, my gosh.
He's really good. And when the Colts draft an offensive lineman, I take notice. They really like that guy that they drafted, and they needed a little O-line help, so really good draft by them.
All right, speaking of Nick Caserio, Nick, he thinks that draft grades and all that are garbage, and they may be, but we're going to do our own draft grades. That's coming up as Kim and Cody are staying with us here on Sports Extra.
With the 31st pick, the Niners select. Wow. Your guy.
There is C.J. Stroud, draft commentator, back now on Sports Extra with Cody, Stoots, and Kim Davis, and of course Zack. So let's do some grading, not the actual draft classes, but let's grade C.J. Stroud, the draft commentator. A, B, C, D, F, or I for incomplete.
I'm going to go with an A. We all better watch out. CJ can pick up some part-time work, taking all our jobs here. Really comfortable. That's the biggest thing. I think sometimes you find people, you get them in front of the camera, and it just kind of lock up.
Hard.
They're not themselves. They don't know when to talk. And CJ he was chilling on the couch, letting it fly with Micah Parsons. And they clearly have a good relationship, which helps. But I'm giving him an A.
Yeah, I'm giving him an A. He was super comfortable, right? And that's always important. He was comfortable, and he had a good time. And he was like, and I like the way he was challenged. They would challenge each other, but it was all cool. So he gets an A. CJ, just let us get a few more years in before you come in and race all of us.
Maybe we need a couch here. Maybe that's what the secret is.
And he looked so comfortable. And what about his football IQ? Just being on display there with Micah Parsons. That was really cool to be able to see that. That was some great content. So I give him an A for what he did, not only with how he talked, but what he talked about.
You could tell there were guys that he was really, really high on.
Well, now we got to pay attention to those guys And
see.
if they end up being really good players,
Yeah.
then he's not coming for our jobs. He's coming for Nick's job. To be GM CJ Stroud.
Also last week, the Texans revealing those new uniforms, which was also part of draft week. Now, CBSSports.com gave them an A, so let's grade the new uniforms. The grade you're assigning to what we saw on Tuesday.
They get an A.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
I'm not quite where Nick is. Like, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're uniforms, but I thought they looked good. I really like the red ones.
Yeah.
That's my color.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good with them.
I'm giving them a B, but B for baller. Okay? I think they are great. There's something for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, when you try to please everybody, inevitably you don't please as many
Yeah.
people as you want, but everybody's got a favorite. I don't know about the change in the blue. It's still kind of growing on me a little bit. Sometimes in the right lighting, it looks like it's a black color instead of a deep steel blue, but I like them. I like them in the red ones.
Original color.
Yeah,
They
it's
went
that,
back to the original.
that
I mean,
OG color, yeah.
I'm giving an A for the boldness of the uniforms because you talked about it with the McNairs during their interview. How difficult is it to change things in the NFL? They clearly went as far as they could, I would imagine, with being able to change things. So I give them an A for the boldness, for being willing to go, make changes, and be part of the start of this new era.
Yeah, it was a big swing without a doubt. I'm gonna go with a B like Cody. I think when you look at what they did and the fact that it was so fan-inspired, at least that's the term they were using. You can't please everybody, but as Cody said, I think there is something for everybody. I think you said that, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I couldn't remember there for
Yeah.
a second. I wanted to make sure I gave proper credit. Speaking of, I guess, credit, I guess now we should give the Texans some credit. We'll see about the end of this Deshaun Watson era, which has been over, but now it's officially over because as we look at the screen here, we now have the final tally with all those draft picks. The big guys coming this way, obviously Will Anderson Jr. and Tank Dell. I'm an A for what Nick Caserio did to get that deal done and now to see it come to fruition. I would say A just for getting Deshaun Watson out of the building based on everything which was going on, football and otherwise. So is anyone not an A?
I'm not an A.
Really?
I'm not an A. It's a B for me.
Okay.
The Kenyon Green aspect of this trade and that first second pick that they had and that first move that they made, they moved back a little bit. I mean, the player they could have had, Kyle Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like D'Amico Ryans would be playing chess on the defense with him, and Kenyon hadn't quite paid off just yet. But hey, a year from now, if he bounces back, has a great season, I could be eating my words and changing my grade, and we'll call that extra credit if that happens.
All right.
I'm going to go with the B+. Much of the same reason. I mean, the Will Anderson was such a big deal. The Tank Dell was such a big. Those were so successful. It kind of makes you forget about like the Kenyon Green one, but that's big. And he's from my alma mater.
It is. Yeah.
And it's a huge need, right? We're still talking about what's going to happen at guard. So I can't give them an A, but you know they did pretty good with the other ones.
And especially when guards typically aren't taken that high unless they are a surefire, starter. So. Boy, now they're talking me out of my grades. I thought just from the Will Anderson perspective and then Tank Dell, look what you've got, and then you've added some other pieces in the draft. So where are you at?
It's an A-.
Okay, all right.
I will give them an A just because of the fact that they did get Will Anderson and Tank Dell. I think those are two guys, even more than just the talent level, they are, part of the fabric of this team. And so because of that, I think that you're not only getting talent, but also team leaders. That's why I'm willing to give them an A-.
All right, well, there you have it. So, once again, we appreciate Cody Stoots from Houston Football, HOUfootball.com, and Kim Davis from Chalk Talk for being on Sports Extra. We survived the draft. The draft month. So to both of you, thank you so much for being here.
Are you
always good to be here.
You gonna grade us now?
right.
What happens?
If it's not an A, keep it.
Yeah, no. Thanks, guys, for being here.
Thank you.